Here's a video. What I think about Sarah Palin. I've been kind of interested in Sarah Palin the last few days. She's like a phenomenon. It's like she's like a tool, and I don't know why she's coming up. Maybe it's a deliberate thing that the hidden government are doing to try to wake people up. They're like, let's nominate the stupidest person we can find to be president and see if people how long it takes for people to realize. Because I'm like flabbergasted by how dumb she is, and how. I mean, no offense to her, but I mean, she's so dumb that I don't think she would even understand why people think she's dumb. I mean, it's crazy. I'm not a Sarah Palin scholar. I haven't watched any one of her like speeches for more than like two minutes because it just freaks me out. And I'd like to try to watch one in entirety, but she just seems really dumb. I remember I seeing like a couple years ago, didn't Matt Damon say in some video like, I would like to know something about her. Like, what does she think? Does she really think dinosaurs were around 6,000 years ago? Like, I'd like to have her answer that, because she's so aloof. She only gets interviewed by people who stroke her. And I saw this Young Turks thing the other day while they were kind of making fun of her, where I guess Glenn Beck interviewed her. And Glenn Beck is another one of these really stupid people. And so, yeah, when I was watching the interview, I mean, I bet a lot of people are watching him like, oh yeah, here's our two smartest people, our two leaders talking about stuff, or maybe like, two media people. But like, when I was looking at it, I was like, here's two morons up on like network television, and it kind of shows how like business people, the rich business elite, Illuminati, are pulling the strings, and they just throw these people out front to do what they say just because they kind of, to say what, to pump them up and keep their agenda going just because they know that they agree with you because you put them in power or something like that, and then they just do the talking heads thing. But yeah, it looked like a couple of idiots talking, but he's like, yeah, who are your favorite founding fathers? She goes, all of them. And it reminded me of this other time. I'm a little bit distracted, but I always get back to where I was, so it doesn't really matter. Somebody goes, yeah, like, do you keep in, I think it was Katie Couric, like, do you keep in touch, how do you keep in touch with the current affairs in the rest of America, up there in Alaska? And she's like, they're like, what publications, what news publications do you read? She goes, all of them. She goes, oh, Katie Couric. She goes, oh, yeah, okay, which one? All of them. Oh, cool. Well, what's your favorite? Can you name one? Can you just name one? All of them. All of them. What do you think? Just because we're in Alaska, we don't pay attention to anything? Like, she couldn't name a single news thing, and maybe she's just so dumb that she's just totally mindless, and she just kind of makes decisions on a whim and just like whatever. I guess this guy, one of her main supporters, one of her right-hand men, recently wrote a book. I saw it on Yahoo News the other day. And he's like calling her out, and he doesn't like her anymore. And he said that, and I read at the end of the little article, on Yahoo's, where they let people write, and I guess they were Palin supporters. I don't know why there's these Palin supporters. Maybe because she's a woman. I bet you that's the reason. And she's just the neocon, and she just says what all, and they're all like the robot neocon people. But she's like, I guess anyway, somebody writes and it goes, what's the smoking gun? What did he say? This guy's just trying to get attention. But there was one thing that he said, that they said in the thing, and he said that she fired a police deputy, the police commissioner, because he wouldn't fire a police officer because he had a divorce with her sister. So she fires a police guy, a deputy, the commissioner, because he won't fire some guy who she didn't like because he divorced her sister. And then there's this other guy, the guy who knocked up her daughter, Bristol Palin. And didn't he write a book calling her out and talking a whole bunch of trash, so then they had like a falling out? It seems like she has a falling out with everybody. And the guy on the Young Turk, because back to the interview with Glenn Beck, where she said, what news publications did you read? She goes, all of them. He goes, well, which founding father is your favorite? She goes, all of them. And he goes, well, can you name one? Bull crap. I mean, isn't there one? Well, all of them. It's like maybe she said all of them because she didn't. Because if you were to ask somebody who, like an historian, who's your favorite founding father is, of course they're going to have an opinion. They're not going to. And then he goes, and of course he was talking about George Washington, how he was his favorite because he was like just a great leader. And so she goes, yeah, but I love him, but I guess I'd have to say George Washington because he was the one, and I quote her exactly, because he was the one who rose to the top and became president. And she goes, and you know what? He didn't even want to be president. He was just he just took it reluctantly. And those are the best kinds of leaders, or those who don't want to do it, but they do it reluctantly, and they say stuff that's right, even if it doesn't mean that they're going to get elected. I agree with that, actually, that you should say stuff that's right, even if it means you doesn't be elected. But I guess the guy in Young Turks said that she had stepped over all these other people in order to become governor, backstabbing and all this stuff. And then she becomes a governor, and she's a governor for 2.5 years out of a 4-year term. And instead of finishing it, she just quits. And then goes on this book tour and lecture tour circuit, reality show, multiple books, movie, making tons of money. So, that makes her a hypocrite. She contradicts herself when she says she would serve the people, even if it's reluctant, because she has all the best ideas and to help the people. But why didn't she do that then? Why didn't she finish her job as the politician out there serving the people? Now she's just out there, talking trash about everybody. I saw a little bit of a speech she did about Barack Obama. She's like, "Hey, Barack, you said you wanted to end bipartisanship or something. How's that going for you?" And everybody's like, ah, ah. And then she said, I heard really quick some other things she said where, yeah, this girls softball team got, defunded. How about it's time we stop doing stuff just to help line your pockets or something like that. Just like, or letting politics get in the way of what's good for the people. Just stuff that doesn't make any sense at all, man. I saw and I actually favorited it. It's the Saturday Night Live skit where she is doing the interview with Katie Couric. So Tina Fey is Sarah Palin doing the skit with Amy Poehler as Katie Couric, and she asks her, and so Tina Fey goes, she says something like, "Yeah, what are you going to do about the the government shutdown and saving money with that?" And so Tina Fey goes, "Yeah, 1 in 5 jobs created, because we got to shore up the economy and because it's all about the people, and you don't want to make it all about the big companies." And she's just like saying all these like one-liner slogans over and over. And then they did the video of the real Sarah Palin in the interview, and it turned out that Tina Fey said the Sarah Palin thing word for word. She wasn't even invented anything. She just threw a couple of stuff in just to make it more ridiculous. So it made her look so dumb. Because Tina Fey was just like, and yeah, just stopped and with Amy Poehler like, uh-huh. But then they interviewed Sarah Palin to ask her about that skit. What did you think about the skit? And she goes, "Well, I didn't see it with with the volume. The volume was turned all the way down, but I saw her face and it looked spot on. I thought it was really, really cool. It was just perfect how she looked like me." Why in the fuck would you watch somebody doing a skit of you on Saturday Night Live and not watch it with the sound turned up? Of course she saw it with the sound turned up. It just made her look like an idiot. So she lies through her teeth and says she saw it with the sound turned down, so she didn't have to mention that. It's like unbelievable. I haven't heard her say a single smart thing the whole time. I've ever seen her talk. She was like what did she ever do? She was like a beauty queen, and she went to school for journalism, because I guess she wanted to like report on stuff, and then next thing you know, she's the governor. And then she gets appointed, and anyways, her getting appointed like that, like somebody with so little experience who ended up quitting, and now everybody's asking, like, people are still wondering, like, if she's going to be president. People want her to be president, and it's just because she's a woman. And I think McCain nominating her, and my roommate said it perfectly, because as soon as McCain announced his running mate, my roommate goes, "Oh yeah, I know what that's all about. It's because Barack Obama's the black guy, so now McCain wants to get the woman to show that he's like he's progressive." And I think McCain electing her as the running mate set feminism back, because now people are going to start thinking, I don't know, it's just a feeling I have, start thinking that women are like stupid again because he chooses her. It kind of reminds me of Andrew Johnson. Like, Sarah Palin is the modern day Andrew Johnson. If she ever gets in office, I guarantee it'll be a disaster. But like Lincoln chose Andrew Johnson as his running mate the second time around, because it was Reconstruction after the Civil War. They got Andrew Johnson only because he was the only Southern politician who didn't succeed with all the other politicians for some reason. I don't know why. So they just chose him, kind of like McCain choosing her because she's the only woman. But Andrew Johnson had no positive aspects beyond that, and he was just a total like asshole. And so he chose. It's like obvious he chose her just because she's a woman. And I'd love to see a woman. I mean, I admit I voted for Barack Obama because he's black, even though I think he's got great charisma and I think he's a good person and he means well and he's really smart. I do think he's a sellout, but and I don't like him as much as Clinton. I really like Clinton. I even like George Bush. I mean, I like a lot of those presidents. I don't like George Bush Sr. He just seems like an asshole. But George Bush Jr. I actually don't have that much of a problem with. I think he's just a puppet, though, George Bush Jr. But anyways, Sarah Palin, I don't. I think I believe that stuff about how she would, like, fire the police commissioner. And she was talking trash about, the father of her granddaughter. And he chose her just because she's like a hot lady. And I would really like to see a woman, though, in power as the president. I'm sure there's lots of them. I don't follow politics at all. I don't watch news at all. Maybe I should make a video about that. But it's interesting. She doesn't have a chance in hell of ever becoming president. So it's crazy how they still have those. She still thinks. I'm curious to see what's going to become of Sarah Palin, because I just like to know what's in her mind, though. Like, what does she know anything? Like, I would like to read her book. I mean, I opened up the first couple pages of her book, and I read like 3 lines, and it was just like the story of like, it was like a soap opera type, or like it was like, yes, and then the president or the candidates came and they picked me up in the big plane, and I got on the big plane and I said goodbye to my family, and it was now it's time for the Maverick to come and take over. And it was like all hullabaloo, and I don't know if there's any substance in there at all. And I heard her books are ghost written anyway. She didn't even write them. So I don't know. It's just interesting how basically shows how people can just get appointed. It's like, okay, I choose you, and I think we should change that. Like, vice presidents should get voted in. They should make the presidential candidate who lost the vice president. So Biden shouldn't be the vice president. McCain should be the vice president, because he's the guy who did the legwork. He's the guy who we know stuff about. He wasn't appointed. He was elected by all of his primaries. Because President Johnson, he wasn't elected. he wasn't. He was appointed by Kennedy, and they say that he was the one who assassinated Kennedy. So that's kind of a way how like people could just take over the, like businesses could take over the world. You could get a business to pay. You get some honest dude to become president, and then you could get the businesses to give him campaign contributions in return for them suggesting his vice president. So then he suggests the vice president, and then he gets in power and they kill him, and then the other vice president becomes president, and then boom, there you've got the business appointed president. But so it's like she's the appointee, and people are just going to vote for her because now she's the household name who's the politician. But like, what has she done? What ideas has she had? What is she? I don't know. It's just really interesting. Anyways, I think I've gone on enough about it.